In childhood, I was able to learn these 5 simple rules, and these 5 simple rules are the acts of revolution. I think they're very important, especially learning them by just seeing my parents and how they would react to like world events, how they would react to things that would happen in their countries, especially as a first generation American. It's very important to know like how to navigate a new world that you're trying to survive in. So, with that, let's begin with the video. Lesson 1, Keeping up with world news. Well, I want to mention the movie Origin, and she brings up this beautiful point. The director, it was based off a book where maybe if all of our traumas were bonded together, instead of it being like a singular line of history, what if it was more like a circle? What if it was more like a pie sheet? What if it was more like your slice of the pie, your slice of the pie, your slice of the pie? And then if we understood the wheel that moved us forward in like these torturous environments, then maybe we would be able to break it. And I think that's a beautiful point. And even now I want to read her book because I saw the movie and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. And it shouldn't have been a groundbreaking revolution, but in a way it was, because it's important to bring up that maybe if this person is suffering in the world, there's a reason for it, and how that can also help my suffering, or that could benefit them in a way. So everybody has their part to play in making the world a better place. The second lesson is maintaining need over want. This is actually not as hard for me, but I understand why it might be hard for some people, because a want could also be a need. I was recently last week where I was like, I need new shoes, but and I was telling my friend my feet hurt so bad. And I had these shoes. It was a very famous brand, which I'm not going to mention because I am not being paid. But it's a very famous brand. They've made shoes for years, like decades, probably a century. And I was like, my feet hurt so bad. I need new shoes. And then we were walking past this place because I don't know if like anybody lives in like a commuter town, but like walking 30 minutes to school and then walking back, like that's like a lot. So, and these shoes were just wearing down, and it was like only 6 months of me getting these shoes. And because I had a discount, I was like, oh, I need new shoes. But it was mainly because of the brand and how amazing I thought the brand would be for these shoes. So we walk past the shoe store and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me see about getting new shoes. And then I go and I suggest, oh, can I probably try on some shoes? And he's like, absolutely. And he's like, what do you need the shoes for? And and I said, oh, I guess I need the shoes for like heavy amounts of like walking, running, exercising. And then he was like, okay, let me introduce you to a Hoka shoe, which has like a thick platform. It's like walking on clouds. So I tried the shoes on and immediately I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best shoe I've ever had on my feet. And not even knowing that these were probably like nurses' shoes. Like somebody told me later on after like wearing the shoes, it was like, oh, why are you wearing nurses' shoes? And I was like, these are amazing because like they're so thick. But the only thing I knew about Hoka is that not many people liked the color or like the design of like the shoe, like many people were like, oh, it's such an ugly color, I can never wear it. That's the only thing I knew about Hoka. I didn't even know they were made for like running or like heavy duty action. And they have like a 5-year warranty, like 5-year guarantee. And I'm like, this is an amazing shoe. Why does nobody ever talk about how thick or the fact that it's a runner shoe? But whenever I think of like shoes, I always think of like the sneakerheads, the shoes that literally come to fruition because of consumerism and popularity. It really changes and puts things in perspective over maintaining a need over a want. And a need is something that you'll lose need for like a long time, and a want is something, oh, even though it may be like the same thing, because at the end of the day I had two shoes, but the need of the shoe was the most important thing. Lesson 3 is hobbies that nourish your mind. This is a this is a privilege that not many people can talk about, especially in regards to like whether it be in the arts or whether it be taking up a new language, taking up like hobbies of like exercising. It's definitely privileges, but I'm going to try to like budget like some of like the things. Making your own clothes could also be a hobby that nourishes your mind, regardless of whether you're a man or woman. I think being able to sew a button onto a shirt makes you extremely um, crafty and vulnerable. Painting is a very expensive hobby. It can be, but like on the flip side of painting, collaging is inexpensive and can even be better artworks than doing a so-called masterpiece. Um, Me and my friend recently just went to the Met, and because we go to school in New Jersey and New York and around the tri-state area, we were allowed to go there for $5 a piece. And that's what people don't tell you about, like going to the Met. You can pay what you want if you go to school around that area. All you need to do is tell them your like school's zip code. So we were able to get into the Met, and she's in photography, and I'm literally just reading up on arts because it's very important. And I'm thinking of even taking my mom back for her birthday. So it's a nice privilege to know. And then also, cooking is an extremely, knowing how to cook is an extremely um, nourishing hobby that nourishes your mind, because if you know how to cook, you have like the foundations. If you know how to like have the foundation steps of cooking, then you can basically cook anything. And then one more thing, let's say volunteering. It's also free. If you can walk to your like nearest pet shelter or nearest anything, then you should do it, and you should be willing to learn from the experience, because it's not just like something you'll put on your college resume, it's also something that might change you for the better. Building a strong mental fortitude is lesson number 4. And it's probably the lesson that I struggle with the most. And next, this is probably one of the most important lessons, if not for the last lesson. Having the ability to say no, having the ability to set boundaries, having the ability to go to therapy, express your emotions, having the ability to trust somebody is so impactful, and yet so, I'm guessing it can be very tiring to not settle, to not do things in a sense of like half assing it. My parents had to build like this strong mental fortitude, especially as first generation immigrants of America. And it probably changed it changed them in the sense that they were no longer kids anymore, but also bringing into bringing into the world two kids who were loud and rowdy and African and American. It probably was the probably wasn't what they were expecting, but it's what they got, and they had to build like a strong mental fortitude from it. So I think that for them was the ability to not only keep us safe, but also the ability of having um, important teaching moments for their children. And the last of the 5 simple acts of revolution is reading. Reading is the most important thing on this list. I went from least important to most important. Reading is probably the most important thing on this list. The act of reading is revolutionary in itself, but to not be used as a pawn in anybody's game and to not be easily manipulative, not be easy manipulative. Oh, okay, give me a to not be easily manipulated, to be used as pawn, to be used as tools. You must sharpen your mind, and reading is a surefire way to do that. And it's easy because I could have put this at hobbies that nourish the mind, but reading is its own category because it's so revolutionary. It doesn't even matter what you're reading, like reading the One Piece manga or reading Naruto, a motif for war, or even reading romance books like Pride and Prejudice, anything Jane Austen. It's so revolutionary in the sense that where we start or where we started or how we move forward, it could be in a book. So, reading is probably the most important thing that we can do. And there's a reason why they don't want people reading. Thank you for watching my video. You can watch other videos on my channel. Have a nice rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.